So what does the postman say? Nor rain, nor sleet, nor hail, nor snow. Uh, he delivers no matter what. Well, I'm here to deliver tonight. Jack Toledano here with All or Not according to Jack. And our subject for tonight is not Iron Maiden. In fact, it is the guys who so many people say started the world of heavy metal, Black Sabbath. It is ready, it is prepared. My ranking the albums of Black Sabbath. It took me a while to get there, but I am here and I am raring to go. Uh, at the end, I have another added bonus that I don't think anybody on the YouTube channels has done. Something that nobody has done while they rank the albums of Black Sabbath. So I'm going to bring that to you after I give you my 19 down to number one. But let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. Let's share my screen, and there we are. Ranking the albums of Black Sabbath. Come on. Go to the, come on. Always starts out bad. So I'm going to start with a couple of pictures. There's the guys when they were younger. Of course, there's Mr. Ronnie James Dio. He will figure in this prominently as well. But let's get right to it. Our number 19. And I know my buddy Mr. Pete Parter is going to disagree with this one. My number 19 is Born Again. In 1983, with Ian Gillan as the lead vocalist. So first, let me start by saying that is one of the most hideous covers I've ever seen. Sorry about that, folks. Demons are out to get me tonight. But, I boundless admiration for Ian Gillan as lead vocalist of Deep Purple. But to me, this was just not a good fit. Instrumentals did not make sense. Songs like Disturbing the Priest, heavy, but doesn't sound like Black Sabbath. It was mentioned that this album was not originally going to be a Sabbath album, but as I've heard many times, the record company pressured them to put the Black Sabbath name on it. Sorry they did. I mean, what else can I say? Ian Gillan, I mean, the guy's a legend. Some monumental albums with Deep Purple. I mean, in rock, Machine Head, even Who Do We Think We Are? I mean, great, great albums. I mean, Fireball had its moments, but you know what? I'm sorry. To me, this is just not Black Sabbath. So, number 19 for me. I just want to tell you also that, as you're going to see, some of my picks are going to differ from other people's picks. And you know what? That's okay. I mean, we all hear things differently as that's been established for a long time. And, some people are going to agree with some of my picks. Some are not going to agree. But if you don't agree, give me your picks. Tell me what you think. In fact, like I said, I've got a little added bonus at the end. You'll see what that is. Okay, so number 18. Never Say Die. Another hideous cover. 1978. This is probably Ozzy's lowest ranking album. This was his last album before he came back. They did a couple of comebacks, but the comeback album was was in 2013, as you'll see in a little while. But I have to laugh at this cover. What the hell is this? Looks like two pilots with nose attachments so that they can breathe out of their nose. about to dive out of a plane. I mean, the song Never Say Die itself was a good song. Uh, Johnny Blade's got lots of synth trying to keep up, with the period. Air Dance, they're trying to find themselves. Over to You, Soaring Piano, just not Black Sabbath. Uh, Breakout could be an action soundtrack. Uh, so this ranked the lowest of the Ozzy albums, and for good reason. With the band tension, the drugs, and Sabbath trying too hard to try new things to stay relevant. We'll talk about this when we get to Technical Ecstasy. Uh, so, being a Long Islander as I am, they played the Nassau Coliseum back in that time. They had Van Halen open for them, and uh, word really went around that Van Halen blew him off the stage, possibly not just there, but in other places as well. Uh, what can I say? So, yeah, Never Say Die, number 18. So, number 17, Tear, 1990, Tony Martin. This will be the lowest of the Tony Martin ranked albums. I didn't care for a majority of this album, a bit too melodic in spots. I mean, opening acoustic riff, Anno Mundi, similar to Dio's Children of the Sea, but not to open the album. I mean, Sabbath Stone's a bit too mellow. The Battle of Tyr, another, instrumental. Nothing really stood out here. So, as I did with pretty much, and I'm not going to talk about this a whole lot, but some of these, basically what I did with all these songs, I had to rank each song to be able to rank the album to try and come up with the perfect album. That's, you'll see as we get to my top albums, you'll see how I kind of constructed this. But most of these songs just didn't, Lawmaker, 3.25 out of 4. Heaven in Black, 3.25. Jerusalem, 2.5. Valhalla, 3. So all adds up to, an album that's so-so. Okay, so number 16, Technical Ecstasy. But before we get to Technical Ecstasy, I'm going to take a little break for 2 seconds, so just bear with me. Okay, we're back. So let's go right back and share the screen again. So, as we said, number 16, Technical Ecstasy. Basically, what I wanted to do is I read something in Wikipedia about this particular album that I thought made a lot of sense. So, basically, so while the band struggled to finish the album, rock had spawned a new set of iconoclasts as the Sex Pistols, the Clash, and the Damned. Suddenly, Black Sabbath found themselves both unsure of their musical direction and labeled as has-beens. How sad. It's not like now, if you're a heavy metal band, you put out a heavy metal album, Butler explained to Uncut in 2014. Back then, you had to at least try to be modern and keep up. Punk was massive then, and we felt that our time had come and gone. Let's see. To make matters worse for the band, manager Don Arden began spending more of his time focusing on another of his acts, Electric Light Orchestra, whose 1975 album Face the Music was their first to make the US top 10. Iommi's determination to move Sabbath in a new direction was misguided, according to some. End quote. So that's And that's why, I can't blame the band for this scenario. Geezer Butler was so right that now, if you're a heavy metal band, you put out a heavy metal album and you stay true to what your band did, when they first started. Kind of like Judas Priest with 2018 with Firepower. Amazing album, but would they have done it back in 1981, 82 when uh, Columbia was pressuring them to come up with hit singles? So, and of course, Ozzy kind of poked fun again at this another album cover that just doesn't fit for Black Sabbath. He basically said two robots fucking in an elevator or escalator or what do you want, whatever you want to call it. But um, again, nothing really earth shattering. You have Bill Bill Ward with his first um, lead vocal called "It's All Right." "Rock and Roll Doctor" is probably the best song on the album for me. Uh, "Dirty Women" is okay. "Backstreet Kids," "You Won't Change Me," but again, not memorable. Okay, so number 15. There we go. 7th star. Glenn Hughes's one record. Okay, it sounds a little better than the effort that Ian Gillan put out. Not a bad effort for Glenn Hughes. His only effort with the band, better production than the Gillan album, I think. Uh, so, so you have "In for the Kill," sounds a bit like Saxon. "Turn to Stone," similarities to 80s Deep Purple. "Heart Like a Wheel," bluesy, good guitar work. "Angry Heart" sounds like Jolene Turner era Rainbow to me, in memory. Production better than previous to, the album itself. Uh, so songs that I thought were okay: "In for the Kill," "Turn to Stone," as I mentioned. So that was number 15, 7th star. Let's get to our next, number 14. "The Eternal Idol," another Tony Martin effort. Some of the Iommi riffs are back, great vocals, but still, to me, sounds like a different band. Doesn't really sound like Black Sabbath. That's an interesting cover, by the way. What is it? Two Naked People? Adam and Eve? Who knows? Uh, so, "The Shining," probably the best song on the album, the opening track. "Lost Forever." That's about it. Other songs: "Middle of the Road," "Ancient Warrior," "Hard Life to Live," "To Love," "Glory Ride," "Born to Lose," etc., etc. Number 13, "Cross Purposes," another Tony Martin effort. Better sounding Tony Martin album in spots, but again, seems like Iommi and crew are trying to sound like other bands. Um, so the first song, I give him full props, "Eyewitness." That's heavy and Sabbath sounding. That's probably my highest ranked song on this album with a 3.75. "Virtual Death." So it's 1994. This song sounds to me a little too much like Alice in Chains. Uh, "Cardinal Sin," "Kashmir," anybody? So that's all she wrote. "Immaculate Deception," "Cross of Thorns," okay. "Back to Eden." I mean, it's a decent album, not great, but okay. Number 12. Now, some people are going to castigate me for this. Forbidden. This is an album, and this is, from what I'm understanding, this is the last album with Tony Martin. Granted, you have Ice-T in this album, but you know what? How I rank these, I listen to each song. I rank each song individually. Again, 1 to 4 stars. And this just edged out Cross Purposes. They were both neck and neck. Maybe next week I could listen to them both and flip-flop them. Who knows? But for all intents and purposes, we could say 12A, 12B. So Forbidden, 1995, Tony Martin. Shaking Off the Chains is probably the highest rated song, I think. What I will say is there's not as many weak songs on this as there were on Cross Purposes. Illusion of Power, Get a Grip, Guilty as Hell, Sick and Tired. Okay. But henceforth, my picture of Tony Martin, this album made the head of the class for the Tony Martin Black Sabbath albums. Number 11, Headless Cross. Actually, I'm sorry. That is the head of the class for the Tony Martin albums. What else can we say? Headless Cross, the title track. It's more Sabbath sounding than all of Eternal Idol. Killing the Spirit World. Sounds like like a Dio era Sabbath song. Cloak and Dagger, nice opening riff, has that classic sound. So we said Headless Cross was tops on this album. Nightwing, Cloak and Dagger, Devil and Daughter. So not a bad album, not a bad ranking. You know what? Again, I tried to be fair to Tony Martin. I tried my best not to, just think only of the Ozzy and Dio albums. I tried to listen to these Tony Martin albums with an open mind and see if, maybe I'd like them better. I do know somebody else who did like them better, and we'll talk about that later. So let's go to number 10. Black Sabbath Volume 4. I know some of you are going to be a little surprised. It's a little controversial. Some great songs on this album. Clearly some of Sabbath's very best work. Unfortunately for Volume 9, for me, 9 other records are just better. We'll continue to go through them and we'll see. Here we have a nice picture of Mr. Iommi and my personal idol, Mr. Ronnie James Dio. Okay, songs that I really like: Tomorrow's Dream, Supernaut, Snowblind, Under the Sun. I don't like Changes. I think that song, Wheels of Confusion I like. Changes, I think, I'm sorry, that and Laguna Sunrise, I bring this album down for me. So don't forget, I am rating each song, and then I'm taking an average of each song within this album, and that's how, helps assist me with my ranking. And those 2 songs, in St. Vitus Dance, not great, good, but not great. So henceforth, Volume 4 was a number 10 for me. Number 9, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, 1973, Ozzy. Slightly better than Volume 4. I love the song Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. That's a song that I used to hear in my sleep back in the early 80s when I was in high school, and you had a bunch of Sabbath metalheads. Uh, that's when I really started to get to know them. You got these people walking down the hall with their boom boxes playing Crankin' Sabbath. Uh, Sabbath Cadaver, great song. But those are the two that do it for me on this album. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, National Acrobat, Sabbath Cadaver 3. Killing Yourself to Live. Uh, then you have a song like Fluff, exactly what the name suggests. It is Fluff. That got my lowest rating, 2.5 stars. I kind of pulled it down a little bit. Who Are You? Not to be confused with the Who song of the same name. It's Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. All righty. Let's move on. Number 8, Sabotage, 1975. A couple of songs. And why did Sabotage beat out the other two? They, I think they absolutely kill it with two songs in mind. Hole in the Sky, and probably my number one ranked song of all Black Sabbath, Symptom of the Universe. I fucking love that song. Amazing, amazing tune. Oh, love it. Love that down-tuned guitar. Love that E flat uh, or D, drop D tuning, whatever he's doing. I don't know exactly, but he, Mr. Iommi, kills it with that killer rhythm and riff. Megalomania, Thrill of It All, The Writ, another good song. So, pretty good album. Definitely didn't shame themselves here. Good stuff for 1975. They didn't, as far as I'm concerned, they didn't hit a wall just yet. All right, number 7, the first of the Dio albums for me. 1992, Dehumanizer. Uh, so here's the deal. So they had a bunch of Tony Martin albums, and the record company wasn't happy. Iommi wasn't happy, et cetera, et cetera. So what they did, drink break, they tried to get this guy back. And basically, Dio was able to record another record, and he had time in his schedule. No brainer. Records speak for themselves. For me, great album for Sabbath in 1992. It took what I consider the cream of the crop of their albums to beat it. So let's talk about some of the songs. Computer God, excellent. TV Crimes, excellent. Time Machine, again, love that song. After All, to return to a more menacing nature. TV Crimes, much darker place like it should be. Letters from Earth. I mentioned Time Machine, Sins of the Father, nice rolling riff. This album, did it for me. Kicked ass. Uh, Other people don't like it. As we're going to see, some other people gave it a lower rating, but I'm sorry. I think Mr. Dio put him back on track, at least for a year or two with this album. Unfortunately, he decided to leave after he got wind that they were going to play a couple of concerts, at Ozfest. He wanted no part of that. I can't say I blame him. They got my guy, Mr. Rob Halford, to play in his stead or sing in his stead to basically help the band with their contractual obligations. But Mr. Dio would go on to grace us for another, I don't know, 10, 20 years. All right, so that's number 7. Number 6, the album 13. That's Ozzy's big comeback. They took them many years in the making to come back. Uh, this is their first album in 35 freaking years, 1978 to 2013. But I think it was worth the wait for at least one album. They caught lightning in a bottle and basically returned to what seemed like their glory days. I mean, some really good songs on this album. End of the Beginning. Yes, they're back. God is Dead. Loner. Live Forever. Damaged Soul. Dear Father. Methodemic. Yeah, and I think the production's very good. So, at least for one album, like I said, they caught lightning in a bottle. Very good. It's a damn shame they didn't do maybe at least one or two more. But at least they toured for a bunch of years afterwards. And then Ozzy went back to do some more solo stuff. All right. So we're going down to my top 5. Let's have at it. Mob Rules. Album speaks for itself. Great album. Songs that we can talk about: Turn Up the Night, Voodoo, Sign of the Southern Cross, another 4-star song for me. Mob Rules, Turn Up the Night, 4 stars, I mentioned. Falling Off the Edge of the World, just missed that 4-star. But album kicks ass. This, and also for me, this is definitely one of their best album covers. Menacing and dark, just like Sabbath ought to be. All right, number 4. Paranoid, 1970. I know this is a little lower than some other people picked, but you know what? Again, great album. But for me, 3 albums were better. I mean, War Pigs, probably my favorite song on the album. Fairies Wear Booties, another favorite. Paranoid, you know what? Great song, but if I never hear it again, it wouldn't matter to me. Same goes for Iron Man. Great song, but you know what? Played to death. Hand of Doom, great song. Planet Caravan, okay. I could take it or leave it. Same with Rat Salad. But for me, the highlights of this album: War Pigs, Fairies Wear Booties, Paranoid, Hand of Doom. All right. Number 3. What made it to number 3 for me? Where it all began. Self-titled Black Sabbath, self-titled debut, 1970. So this album has the distinction of having a bunch of medleys, so to speak. So we'll go through it. So there's Black Sabbath, The Wizard, then the first medley, Wasp, Behind the Wall of Sleep, basically, NIB, then Wicked World. And then to close the album, there's another medley, Bit of Finger, Sleeping Village, Warning. Songs that really killed it for me on this album: Black Sabbath, The Wizard, and NIB. Wicked World, another one. So this album, brilliant debut. It's just a shame that people didn't jump on their bandwagon sooner. I'd say it took Black Sabbath, 10, 12 years to finally make it to the radio. Because even in the 70s, at times I thought the radio was shit, but they killed it. Number 3. Okay, number two. Oops, went the wrong way. Sorry about that. Master of Reality, 1971. I'd say they really hit their stride here with their third album. Songs that I love: Sweet Leaf, After Forever, uh, killer riff. Children of the Grave, another freaking killer riff. Lord of This World, Into the Void. Really, really good shit. Uh, it's a shame that this didn't make my number one, but hey, what can I tell you? It's a great album, but this one just edged it out. Heaven and Hell, my number one, 1980, Mr. Ronnie James Dio. I mean, there's a couple of reasons for this album to be my number one. So you have to understand, going back to 1978, 1976, you had Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die, and it seemed like Black Sabbath were written off for the dead. And then what do? They hire Ronnie James Dio. They they come out and they put this killer fucking album out. Let's talk about the songs. Neon Nights, another one of my favorite, not only my favorite, one of my favorite Sabbath songs, but one of my favorite all-time metal riffs. Children of the Sea. I mean, Lady Evil, Heaven and Hell, Die Young. So that's four songs on this album that I gave a 4-star rating. So that's Neon Nights, Lady Evil, Heaven and Hell, Die Young. Children of the Sea just missed with a 3.75. Wishing Well, 3.5. Lonely is the Word, 3.5. So there you have it. That's my spiel, my reason for Heaven and Hell being my number one. Of course, Ronnie James Dio kicked ass. Beautiful job. All right. So, not knowing how well my Black Sabbath picks would be received, what I did after I put this, I put my rankings together. I put this PowerPoint together. What I did was I went and I watched a couple of other people on a couple of other YouTube channels on YouTube, uh, that had done rankings of Black Sabbath, and I just wanted to see how did my rankings stack up against my peers. So let's go take a look. So column one, me, myself, and I, how I ranked them. So I basically listed out the albums in chronological order. Uh, Basically, these were my rankings. Uh, Classic album review. I watched his first. I did a normal search on YouTube to see who did rankings of Black Sabbath. Classic album review. These are his. My good friend Pete Pardo, Sea of Tranquility. These are his. Bryce Talks Metal, who basically turned the world on its ear with his rankings, a lot different than a lot of other people. Brendan Snyder, Ruthless Metal. Then what I did was I did a Google search, and for a few publications like Ultimate Classic Rock, Kerrang, The Guardian. So I wanted to see who ranked what. So a lot of people. The most common ranked number one was Paranoid, four of those. The Guardian picked Master of Reality. My buddy Mr. Pardo picked Volume 4. I'm glad to see I wasn't alone with Heaven and Hell. Uh, so myself, Bryce, and Ruthless Metal all picked Heaven and Hell as their number one. I was alone picking Born Again as my rock bottom. Oh no, that was yeah, yeah. So right, so that was me picking Born Again as my. This confused me, but I will. I'll talk about this column afterwards. So yeah, Born Again was my lowest. Seventh Star was Brendan's lowest. Most people picked Forbidden as their lowest. Uh, Bryce Talks Metal picked 13 as his lowest. So I'm very surprised to see that Bryce picked most of the Ozzy era albums down on the bottom. He was very high with the Tony Martin albums. So highest otherwise. So nobody picked Sabbath as their highest, but I was myself, and Ultimate Classic Rock gave it the highest rating. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, The Guardian, where is he? Picked Sabbath Bloody Sabbath as number 2. Sabotage, also The Guardian, he picked it at number 6. Technical Ecstasy, Brendan Snyder picked it at number 5. Never Say Die, he picked it at number 4. So surprised. Okay, Mob Rules. Ruthless Metal gave it 2. Bryce Talks Metal, myself, we picked it at number 5. Good job. Born Again, my buddy Mr. Pardo picked it at number 7. Highest ranking. Brendan picked, where is he? 7th Star. Oh, actually, it's a tie. Pete Pardo and Brendan picked it the highest at number 10. Eternal Idol, Headless Cross, Tear, all picked by Bryce. He gave them the highest rating, 2, 3, and 4 respectively. Dehumanizer. Bryce and I had that one in common, picking that as our highest, number 7. Cross Purposes, number 6 for Bryce. Forbidden. This is probably a bit of a shock to people. I picked that at number 12. You know what? Like I said, maybe that's a faux pas on my part, but it's how I heard it when I was listening at the time. At 13, I gave it a 6. I ranked that the highest. So if you want, pause your screen, take a good look at it. I hope this was very informative to you to see how my rankings stacked up against a bunch of other people. I wish I had a few other people like maybe Chris Allo, but I didn't know how to get his rankings. Maybe I could have asked him, but you know what? I was in a hurry to get this done. So here we go. Here it is. So I'm going to stop sharing. All right. So there you have it. My 19, my ranking the albums of Black Sabbath, all 19. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, please don't shoot me. We all hear things differently. I tried to be as fair as possible, not only to the band, but to all the singers, the fine singers that they hired. I mean, even Ian Gillan, I'm a big fan of his, but I just didn't think he was a really good fit for Black Sabbath. Whereas I think Ronnie James Dio was a much better fit. Shame that he only had, 3 albums. What are you going to do? So there you have it. My ranking the albums of Black Sabbath. If you like what I do, please subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the like button. Please tell me how you think I'm doing. Please give me your rankings. You can give me all or part. I'd love to hear how my picks compare to yours. So there you have it. I owe you my next year in top 3 metal albums. What's it, 2009, I think I have coming up? Something like that. Then what else do I have upcoming? My next edition of Curb Your Enthusiasm's coming up in a couple weeks. WrestleMania season is here. I just got done watching Raw, uh, Monday Night Raw, so I'm thinking about that. There will be a recap show after WrestleMania. George and I will be doing that, and we will have one additional person with us, and you know, hopefully a surprise announcement. Where it comes to wrestling type shows. So stay tuned. Have a good one. Jack Toledano, all or none according to Jack. Mother Nature, please send that snow further north. Don't dump it on the tri-state area. Good night, all.